Alrighty, so today it's time for a viewer-submitted game of StarCraft 2, and spawning here in the bottom right-hand corner of Simulacrum, we have the one, we have the only, we have Florencio. I know he's becoming a massive channel favorite just because this man plays some really ridiculous strategies, and he's also got some very creative nicknames because for some reason he goes right here under the name Old Greg. I don't really know exactly what that means. His opponent, though, in the opposite corner, playing here with the blue Zerg drones. He's playing under a barcode nickname, so I have no idea. I guess I'm just gonna refer to him as, I don't know, Jerry. What's up, Jerry? That was the first name that popped in my head. Thank you, Jerry, for playing under a barcode nickname, because apparently he wants to hide his identity. Now, as you might be aware, Florencio likes going for some crazy builds, so I think we're gonna, okay. I think we're gonna go ahead and have a look at his main base and his natural expansion, and especially, it is gonna be a forge opener here from Old Greg. There's a gateway coming up as well, but I feel like we mostly want to look at that forge. It was a hatchery first on the low ground here, so the Protoss player at this point is aware of the fact that a cannon rush can work. Now, this wouldn't be a Florencio game if there wasn't a bit of a twist. This is not just your regular run-of-the-mill cannon rush, apparently, as he decides to steal both of the gases of the Zerg. This is actually pretty frustrating because one of the most annoying things when you get cannon rushed is, you know, going up towards additional tech. If, say, for example, you want to break out of it by using Zerglings and running by all of the photon cannons and going for a counterattack, well, good luck doing that without any gas. Likewise, say you wanted to go ahead and follow it up with a bunch of roaches and ravagers. Good luck, you don't have any gas! Alright, triple pylon, blocking these drones from moving down the ramp. It will take a little bit before they run out. I guess that Old Greg over here is anticipating them dying as he already follows us up with a pylon on the low ground as well. First photon cannon, though, is coming up. We do have a spine crawler, which is the third of the options when it comes to dealing with this kind of shenanigans when you don't have a whole lot of gas to play with. I've got a feeling, though, that these photon cannons are gonna finish up. Now, you do need, I think, another photon cannon over here. Is that gonna be in range? I know that for a fact if you, like, put down the... Yeah, I think it is gonna be in range. But I know for a fact if you, like, put down the photon cannon over here, it's not gonna, like, reach the hatchery. I think this is gonna be plenty in range, though. One of the photon cannons does look like it will end up falling. Another pylon gets constructed as well. And I think, judging by the fact that this photon cannon over here can apparently reach the spine, I think that they will also be able to hit that hatchery. And there it goes. And that's really like what the Protoss player is looking for most of the time. Okay. So, apparently this game, the first couple of minutes, they start off with a bang. Even if you defend this, though, as a Zerg, right, you're still in such an awkward position because... Actually, there's not a probe over here as well. Because you really don't have a whole lot to go for right now, right? Even if you manage to break out of your natural without losing the natural, not having any gases makes the amount of options at that point very, very limited. So I think he's probably going to be able to break down these assimilators eventually, but the natural expansion is already gone, and this now forces Jerry to go for an expansion at a bit of a weird spot. This is the high ground base. This is normally like the 5th or sometimes even the 6th expansion, as players usually will decide to expand vertically and then the base right over here, depending on what kind of race you play. But most of the time you will notice players will expand away from their opponents. So this is already creating a very awkward scenario, because I wonder if Old Greg, also known as Florencio, is going to end up scouting this. This is, by the way, a Diamond League game, so neither of these players, you know, is gonna be incapable of playing from here. I think that both of them have a very good understanding of exactly what it is they need to do. Pretty sure, actually, that Florencio would be able to play at a much higher level if he went for some very standard build orders, but I gotta say, I really like it. I really love the fact that he goes for the strange builds, the ones that are uncommon and the ones that players haven't seen before. Okay, now up to this point, though, things are pretty normal, right? I would say well, I mean, this is the kind of build that I see on the ladder pretty much every single day, okay? Up to this point, other than the gases that were stolen, everything has been relatively normal. I'm curious to see where this game is gonna go from here, though. Okay, it is gonna be a Stargate. And maybe a second one? He's got 150 gas coming up. Yep, okay, yeah, double Stargate as a follow-up right now from Mr. Florencio. He's scouting around the map, trying to figure out where those drones went. I'm pretty sure he did see them leave, so he knows that something is not quite right. Can you please uproot this? Hey, come on, buddy. Come on, just uproot the spine. Don't let it bleed out. Actually, if you uproot it, it won't bleed out. It's a weird... It's one of the things that science can't explain, okay? I guess it's not taking any nutrients right now from the grounds, but apparently if you're uprooting it and it's not on creep, it's still going to be able to survive for a really long time. But I've got a feeling that this spine crawler, despite me shouting at it, it will go down. It, you know, hurts every time. The Stargates, though, in the meantime, are finishing up. That does mean that the first of Void Rays will be produced, and I've got a feeling that there will be a second one coming up as well, as soon as Greg has the resources for it. Still, though, I don't mind this position for the Zerg whatsoever. Here's the thing about cannon rushes, right? Yeah, you force your opponent to play something that they probably would have rather not played. But when you think about the investments here made, it's not like the Zerg player is in an absolutely atrocious situation, right? If you look at resources lost here, you can see that Protoss has actually lost more already, and add to that these, you know, these couple of structures over here too. This really usually does not end up being a favorable trade for Protoss whatsoever, and that's really the reason why it's not a very common style to go for at the highest level of play. At the pro level, the cannon rush alone is not gonna be enough, right? And especially like at the highest level, the players will just simply deal with the cannon rush as if nothing happened and then macro off of the other base is just fine. Now Void Ray apparently has found out the expansion that the Zerg player here, Jerry, took a little while ago. That's nice. Pretty critical. Couple additional queens over here though as well. I think that Florencio probably assumed there was just gonna be this one hatchery over here, but there's another hatch on the back of this as well. Spore crawler being made over there. Couple of oracles now as a follow-up. We see a spire in the meantime on the other side. That's actually pretty interesting. So he's seen Void Rays. I agree that Hydras aren't the greatest anti-air. Queens are pretty good. Normally it's like the Corruptors that you go for if you need some really solid anti-air, but the issue at this point is that, well, if you go up against Void Rays, right, they deal bonus damage against armored, and that's exactly what Corruptors are. So usually the counter to Void Rays is certainly not. It's certainly not going to be those Corruptors, but anyways, he's got a bunch of queens available. He's rallying in a bunch more drones as well. Wouldn't actually mind seeing him retake the natural expansion. I think that Florencio was thinking similar thoughts as well. Roach Warren coming up, Evo Chambers coming up. Spire does finish here eventually. You know what? He can probably just... Do you think he can just gun down the main base? I wonder if he can actually just go after the lair. It's always a bit of a gamble. Roach Warren, though, apparently is top priority for now. Prismatic alignment does get activated. Spire finishes though. Okay, so he's gotta go for Mutalisk. I don't know if I like Mutas either. The thing is, if you see a bunch of Void Rays, right, you know for a fact your opponent is gonna be able to make Phoenixes as well. And Phoenixes are like the counter to Mutas in particular. Now, what is going on, by the way, with these oracles? Third Stargate gets added. Florencio is still making additional oracles. I've got a feeling that one of the Void Rays, though, will not live to tell the tale. Although, well, the Queen is apparently very generous and missed target firing down. Recall does get utilized here as well, and even though the Mutas apparently have come in, they're already on the other side of the map. Alrighty. So, it is going to be a Hydra Den as a follow-up here eventually, and I kind of like the idea. So, it would be nice to go for a couple of Mutas, and then force out Phoenixes, if Protoss, you know, wouldn't also be really good against Hydras with those Phoenixes. Like, Phoenixes are really good against both Mutas and then also Hydralisks. Both Hydras and Mutalisks are light units, and that's exactly what the Phoenixes deal bonus damage against. Interestingly enough, I mean, it's always a bit of a weird dynamic between the Hydra and the Phoenix. But anyways, here's the triple Oracle hit squad making their way towards what seems to be the main base of the Zerg. There are a couple of Spore Crawlers over here. I know the Mutas are still out here somewhere as well, but let's see what he decides to go for. Immediately activates the Pulsar Beam, goes to town right here on that Queen. The drones are actually going to end up taking a bunch of damage as well. You know what? With 3 of these Spores, you can, or 3 of those Oracles rather, you can definitely target fire down Spores as well. It's not ideal though, right? Yeah, target firing down the drones, definitely a better idea. And just like that, 22 drones end up going down in total in this game. In the meantime, by the way, another base was taken in the bottom left-hand corner. This is the most awkward position ever for a Nexus. What in the world? I guess it's also the least expected location for a Nexus. Although you gotta be careful that you don't accidentally, like, throw your opponent in the direction of where that Nexus is placed by flying these Oracles in that spot. But looks like Mr. Jerry over here is still so busy trying to just simply hold on that he hasn't really had the opportunity to scout around the map very often. There's going to be a fleet beacon right now as a follow-up as well, so that opens up the opportunity for the mothership, but also carriers, maybe even Tempests and all that. Mutas, though, they're going to be countered as the Phoenixes fly in. One of them immediately dies, achieving absolutely nothing. I think that, well, making like 7 of these Phoenixes to counter 2 Mutalisks is maybe not necessarily ideal. There's still a little bit of damage that gets done here. These Phoenixes absolutely not achieving very much at all. And that apparently means Greg is going to feel comfortable going back towards the Oracle production. By the way, was the base in the bottom left spotted? These Hydras keep moving in this little direction. Look at, like, you see that little, like, fog of war? Look at where the Zerg has been. It's kind of sad. It's kind of sad. That was so close. He could just kill this base so easily. There's plenty of Hydras dealing with that, or you know, to deal with those couple of photon cannons. Obviously, Protoss can always, like, mass recall as well if he absolutely needs to grab those units towards the base in the bottom left. It's a bit of a disaster. 4th Stargate apparently coming up, and also now Tempest on the production tab. +2/+2 though is being researched, and honestly, like, I really like this position for the Zerg a lot. Zerg has got a lot of bases. He's going for the, you know, the straightforward approach. The only thing that sucks for him right now is that he doesn't know about the base in the bottom left, and that could certainly become a bit of an issue. Look at this. He's expanding everywhere. He's got 6 bases coming up here in just a sec, and yeah, he's expecting and assuming that his opponent is on 2, but it's not the case. You can barely afford anything when you're Protoss on 2 bases. When you're on 3 bases, though, especially with 6 gases, that's when life becomes significantly easier. And you can start apparently affording 4 Tempests at once. Shield batteries being set up right here on the perimeter of the main base, and that means that these Tempests can start shooting away at this expansion. This is something that Florencio stumbled upon ages ago. There you go. Using the Oracle as well for Revelation, so these Tempests can be shooting at their maximum range. Gonna make it pretty easy to pick off these Spore Crawlers this way. Spire, oh, a second Spire is coming up. I feel like you're playing a little bit too greedily, though. All of these choices that the Zerg make, though, make sense, right? Because he's assuming his opponent is on 2 bases. So it's like, okay, well, 12 minutes into the game, main and natural. They're gonna be running low. I know he expanded a little bit later because of the cannon rush and all that. Like, Protoss is gonna have to move out on the map at some point. So as long as I keep track of when the 3rd base gets acquired, I'm gonna be fine. Now, the drones, oh my god, they were evacuated from the base over here towards the newly acquired hatchery. They accidentally stumbled upon a couple of Protoss structures. Looks like the Hydras immediately returned back home because of this as well. More Hydras will be produced. We see the, I guess, Corruptor upgrades coming up. Yeah, there we go. A couple of Corruptors are indeed on that production tab as well. Recall, though, towards the bottom left-hand corner now brings the Tempest in this location as well. And with those shield batteries up above, or on the ground, rather, yeah, they're going to be able to pick up these units very easily. And what was previously just a cheeky mining expansion is now a beautiful anchor, a staging ground for old Greg to start assaulting the Zerg from the inside out. Okay. Still, though, there were a lot of hatcheries acquired. Once again, another hatchery over here being acquired as well. Zerg has some amazing creep spread. Really has done an excellent job just simply taking control of the map. He spread creep all the way towards his opponent's natural. Spore Crawlers, though, not present over at this expansion. That now means that old Greg is going to be able to start zapping down this hatchery as well. For some reason, the ultimate BM right there being used on the Queen rather than actually killing it. He decided to go for the Stasis Ward, probably hoping to trap some of these Hydras. Looks like that expansion will live for now, but this is still a bit of an awkward spot to be in. Even, you know, even though Protoss at this point has 3 mining bases, he needs to start thinking about an extra expansion soon, though. Because I don't really see this ending in the next couple of minutes, right? And whenever that's the case, usually the best move you can make, or the best move you can make, rather, is going for another base. Going for an extra expansion. Look at this Zerg Bowl. It's very nice. There's a bunch of Corruptors coming out. There's already 5 Corruptors out. There's a few Vipers now happening here as well. He's going double upgrades. This is a really good spot still to be in when you are the Zerg player. Now, he's got to be careful, though. This base right now is unscouted, right? I guess he's got creep over here, so he can kind of figure out what's happening, but he needs to know whether or not that expansion gets taken, and indeed, Zerglings now run in that direction. I'm really liking the moves right here that Zerg is making. Okay, so when it comes to dealing with Skytools, right? I think, especially when it's not very Void Ray heavy, you should really be focusing primarily on Corruptors and then also Vipers. Both of those units are amazing at dealing with all the Skytools units, with the exception of Void Rays. Now, apparently though, Florencio already has a new strategy up his sleeve. He's adding on about a gajillion gateways. I don't see a Twilight... Okay, I was gonna say, I don't see a Twilight Council, so without, like, you know, having any of those charge upgrades, life gets way harder. Now, when you have this amount of Oracles, though, apparently they can be used to just pulsar beam down a hatchery. Eventually, the Corruptors do find them, and I feel like that's gonna be the end for most of them. Corruptors pretty fast, obviously. They're gonna be able to shoot down most of those Oracles quite nicely, and at the very least force them to go back home. Immediately, additional... Is he? Oh, he doesn't have warp gates! He's only just now getting warp gates. That's so weird. Wow, we're 15 minutes into a game of Protoss versus Zerg, and there's no warp gates. Anyways, it's gonna be Void Rays as a follow-up right now. You know what you need to do, though, Mr. Jerry? You should really try and shoot down those Stargates. Like, I think Caustic Spray here is the way to go. I think that's probably what Florencio is worried about here as well at this point. Tempests are available. There's a lot of Oracles, though, still available as well. They are quicker than all of those Corruptors. So, you know what? 63 workers go down. Zerg still has a really good eco, though, all things considered. But he doesn't really have an answer to, like, this very large growing Protoss army. Once the Corruptors get added into the mix as well, you really have to add in, like, something like Infestors, maybe a bunch of Spore Crawlers as well. It's a very difficult force to deal with. Protoss is getting awfully close to hitting that maxed out state. Oh my god, he found another base. Oh, this is so dirty. How many workers is that? Well, I mean, it's not quite 100. So what are, by the way, all those gateways for? I'm not sure. Templar Archives, we do have a Dark Shrine coming up. Stalkers are being produced as well. There's no Blink available. As a matter of fact, there's no upgrades done other than Warp Gate, which literally just finished at like the 16-minute mark. Okay, I like this a lot better. I think pushing here is the right thing to do because Protoss is kind of like all over the map. He could even like just get out of here right now. He doesn't have to fight this. Zerg, that is. I feel like Zerg just moving towards the bottom left-hand corner of the map is not a bad idea. Corruptors do engage though. Prismatic Alignment can be activated on those Void Rays at any time, and that makes them absolutely shoot all of those Corruptors out of the sky. He's using Revelation to kill Creep Tumors. Observers are too good for this man. He doesn't need that. He doesn't need that at all. Okay, here's the Hydra Ball though, and this is what I was talking about. I like this. Can you please puke on everything? Oh, please use Caustic Spray. Oh, dude, the Corruptors are idling. Corruptors, do something, dudes. Just whatever. Just kill everything. Okay, well, I guess he is gonna kill everything. But he took a lot more Hydra losses there than were needed. And in general, he certainly is gonna take much longer to finish that one off as well. That now means, though, that Protoss right here, Florencio, his build is not looking that great anymore at this point, to be completely frank with you. I mean, he's been contained on a lot of idle probes, apparently, but also on 2 bases. And those couple of bases, oh my god, the Oracles fail over here in the northern section of the map, too. They've done their best for a really long time. They've killed 102 drones. Well, I think most of those were killed by the Oracles anyway. Yeah, right now, Protoss is running out of money. Zerg is still mining a couple of bases. Well, I say that. There's only 13 drones. There's only 13 drones. I think all of them are in the main base right over here. Yeah, he's adding on some new workers once again as well. Those crazy worker losses here are really starting to hurt quite a bit. Those Oracles have been very, very, very helpful. Protoss doesn't have that much either, though, but he does still have that scary force. And you know what? Mass Skytools all on its own, not that terrifying. It becomes especially scary when High Templar are added into the mix with Psionic Storm. Psionic Storm basically is good against everything that Zerg has. Ay. That's a big Corruptor cloud. He's scouting around trying to figure out if Protoss is taking any new bases. He's also worried though. He doesn't want to make too many drones because he knows that Protoss must be getting close to maxed out. A new Nexus is being acquired over at the 3rd base, which I think is going to be pretty helpful. One Oracle apparently tasked with killing this base up north. I don't know if this is really gonna matter all too much, to be honest, because Zerg doesn't have enough drones to even saturate the other bases that he's got. Transfuse? No transfuse. No transfuse. And that means the Oracle can go back home and report to what exactly it has done. Now, I really want to compliment the Zerg's creep spread, though. It's been absolutely amazing. Look at this. Creep is everywhere. He still has a couple of Vipers full of energy as well. I mean, honestly, like, getting a couple of parasitic bombs and maybe abducting a few units, it can really change the tide of battle real quick. It's just, guys, I've seen a lot of Protoss games, especially in Diamond League and all that. The counter micro versus Storm is oftentimes non-existent. I mean, Storm is a difficult spell to deal with, but you have to split your units real fast. If you're inside of the Storm for any longer than absolutely necessary, it can become an absolute disaster. Now, sadly here for the Zerg, there's no Ling Bane tech. I feel like Ling Bane here actually would be a really good follow-up with the other units that he's already got. He needs to dodge those storms. Protoss is fully on creep, right? Zerg can see all of this. Corruptors on their way back home. Hydra's still available as well. It all comes down here to the spellcasters. So pay attention to the Vipers, but also to those High Templar. Now, if you're gonna allow him in the natural, though, that funnel, that choke point right over here is gonna be absolutely massive. A blinding cloud does go down, but I mean, all of those Zerg units take so much damage. The storms kill so much of this army. Corruptors still left over. A couple of Archons also get morphed in. Void Rays desperately flying away for absolutely no apparent reason, but I mean, Corruptors, yeah, they still live. Whoop-de-doo, what are you gonna do against those Stalkers? In the meantime, though, one Zergling apparently has been tasked with killing the newly acquired Nexus here for old Greg. Corruptors now also flying across. Yeah, they will see the Stalkers. He's like, wait a second, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do at this point? There's a couple of roaches available inside of the main base of the Zerg player. And just like that, old Greg, also known as Florencio, obtains the victory in once again one of the craziest games that I have seen. I hope that you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, make sure you hit that like button down below. If you want to see more, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you get a notification as soon as I upload more. But other than that, I want to thank you very much so for watching. Have an amazing day. Do not forget to smile, alright? And I will see you once again in the next one.